In Washington state, child support is calculated based on a mandatory formula that everyone must use. The state legislature has determined this formula that takes into account both parents' income and gives each parent a ratio of how much they contribute to the overall household income. And then a correlating amount based on a table that the legislature has determined is decided as the monthly transfer payment, typically from the parent who spends less overnight time with the child to the parent who has more overnight time with the child. In addition to that monthly transfer payment, other financial obligations for children are also considered, like who is paying the child's health insurance premium. And we also need to think through and come to a determination on how things like non-insurance covered health costs for children are going to be divided between the parents, how tuition, how daycare, how extracurricular activities are going to be divided and paid between the parents. Oftentimes we use the ratio that we have factored into that transfer amount of how much income compared to the other parent is each person contributing. For example, if each parent makes $5,000 a year, then they're going to have a 50-50 ratio when it comes to dividing up other expenses like extracurriculars or non-insured health costs. Child support in Washington state can be modified. There's also a process called adjustment. So every 2 years, parents may elect to adjust the transfer amount of child support, meaning has income changed for the parties? And if so, does that move where their transfer support payment is on the grid and change the amount? If so, you can go ahead and motion the court to adjust the amount. There is also a process to modify child support. And when I talk about modifying child support, I mean changing not just maybe the transfer amount, but also terms, how other expenses for children are going to be paid. Are there going to be expenses split when it comes to additional outside extra costs for children, like long distance travel to travel between the parents' homes that wasn't anticipated when they set the original child support order? Or has there been a substantial change in circumstances that neither parent had expected? Perhaps a disability or an injury has impacted a parent's ability to meet a child support obligation, or something has arisen with their child that has significantly changed their financial need. Those are all reasons to go back to court and ask to modify child support. If payments are missed when it comes to child support, then the parent who is receiving or supposed to be receiving child support can go to court and ask to enforce the child support order or even seek a contempt action. If the lack of payment appears to be totally voluntary, if the person who's supposed to be paying is just flat out refusing and they have the ability to pay child support, then you're looking at a contempt action. And contempt means that the court can order a penalty, including up to jail time until the child support gets paid. In Washington state, we have something called post-secondary support. And that means how are parents going to pay for college for their children? Typically, child support ends when a child turns 18 or graduates from high school, whichever comes last. And then if they're going to go on to college, there is a possibility that the court can order child support for them. And in Washington state, that is not a formula. It's a discretionary determination by a judge based on a number of factors, like what was the expectation that was created for the child when the parents were together? Did they set the child up with the expectation that they were going to pay for the child's education or pay for part of it? And we also look at factors like the economic status of the parents, their ability to fund some or all of college expenses on top of any of their own necessities of life. Often post-secondary support isn't decided until a child is in their senior year of high school because we know more information at that point about how much is college going to cost, where are they likely to go, how are they going to qualify for any student aid, loan, scholarships, and we factor in all that information to come to a formula about how child support is paid for college, whether it's paid directly to the school or to the child. If payments are missed when it comes to post-secondary support, the same process is available to require enforcement. So the child or the parent who is the recipient of the child support can go to court and ask to enforce the order or proceed with a contempt action to require the obligor to pay that bill that they're required to pay, and put a little emphasis from a judge to give a penalty if they refuse to pay the amount that's due. If you have any questions about child support in Washington State, give us a call.